Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nasze programy oferują wiele języków. Prosimy zobaczyć suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Sustainable tourism is about looking after people's economic well-being, it's about looking after their heritage and their culture, and it's also about looking after the environment so that we keep these three things working together for the benefit of the communities.
Ecotourism, the sustainable way to travel, part 1 of 3. Continue watching to find out more.
Hush Calypsis means welcome in Uzbek. I'm Otabek. The people of Uzbekistan, thank you for your loving care of planet Earth and animal friends. Beautiful viewers, welcome to part 1 of our 3-part series, Ecotourism, the sustainable way to travel. On today's program, we'll explore the general topic of tourism, the problems associated with traditional tourism and their solution, ecotourism. In 2019, a record number of people traveled internationally, 1.5 billion to be exact. Leisure travel has been around since ancient times. In fact, tourism is considered an important part of civilized society. It enhances economic growth, creates jobs, promotes peace and security among nations, protects the environment, and preserves cultures. Travel also benefits tourists by building friendships, providing long-lasting memories, and even helping with personal growth. All these factors have enabled the global hospitality sector to become a booming industry. However, conventional mass travel has been shown to be unsustainable and actually has many hidden, deeply intertwined costs for both tourist destinations and our planet. Let's take a look at some of the problems associated with traditional tourism. Large-scale tourism can cause the cost of basic necessities such as food and housing to increase. Not only does this impact tourists but also local residents who end up experiencing a higher cost of living and even a decline in living standards. Another issue is that when large-scale tourism is promoted, government and private sector spending goes toward tourist facilities and services instead of toward local necessities such as hospitals and schools. And in terms of employment, jobs in the tourism industry are often only seasonal and low-paying. Mass tourism also impacts the societies and cultures of popular tourist destinations. While it allows cultures and traditions to be shared and celebrated, mass tourism can also create excessive noise, traffic congestion, and overcrowding. Moreover, as tourist destinations become more commercialized and begin to cater to tourists, true original cultures run the risk of being lost. In addition, even natural landscapes can change. Precious pieces of land are sometimes sold to large investors who end up using them to build hotels, villas, and resorts. While visitors may enjoy a temporary, relaxed haven in such places, their existence takes a toll on locals who have to suffer the long-term effects of losing culturally important lands. Finally, traditional tourism has a considerable impact on the environment. According to a study by Nature Climate Change, a scientific journal on global warming and climate change, between 2009 and 2013, the tourism sector was responsible for 8% of global greenhouse gas emissions, most of which came from modes of transportation during travel, such as airplanes, ships, cars, and trains. For example, air travel generates millions of metric tons of CO2 emissions each year. A flight from Amsterdam, the Netherlands to New York City, USA emits 1.77 tons of CO2, equivalent to the CO2 produced by 2,524 loads of laundry, 866 10-minute showers, 920 days of watching television, and 80% of the yearly energy consumption of a Dutch household. Other environmental effects include air and water pollution, littering, sewage waste, and damage to pristine ecosystems from commodification, the act of treating a person, animal, or place as a mere commodity. As tourist destinations become more popular, the demand for structures to accommodate the influx of people, including hotels, villas, condominiums, restaurants, coffee shops, shopping malls, and attractive landmarks, is rising. These developments lead to environmental destruction of the destinations in order to cater to travelers' needs. As a result, tourism is a driver of deforestation, clearing of natural environments, and habitat loss for wildlife. Traditional tourism can also lead to overuse of natural resources. For example, tourist establishments typically use large amounts of water to maintain pools, water features, and landscaping. An imbalance in water use also exists between tourists and locals. Studies show that in some places, the average tourist uses 5 times more water than local residents. In areas where water is scarce, this can result in water shortages for the local community. The good news is that over the past decade, trends in travel have been changing considerably. As the world becomes more aware of the threats that human-induced climate change poses to people, our planet, and our future, ways to reduce the carbon footprint of activities such as mass tourism are being sought. What can we do about our recreational travel habits? The answer is ecotourism. Loving viewers, we will take a moment now to pray for the health and well-being of our beautiful planet and all its inhabitants. We will return shortly. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Enlightened viewers, welcome back to our program as we examine ecotourism and learn about its many advantages. Ecotourism is a way of traveling that minimizes the environmental impact of visiting tourist destinations while respecting the local culture and people. The practice allows host countries to benefit and future generations to enjoy these beautiful areas as much as we do. Now, let's find out what researchers from Purdue University in Indiana, USA have to say about this new trend.
So we're at a really important time in tourism at the moment.
We need to make sure that whatever we consume today will leave something for the future.
So there's been an interesting change in the way we think about tourism, particularly over the last couple of years. Back in the day, it was hard to imagine what unsustainable tourism might look like. But now we've got more and more examples, whether you look at Barcelona or Venice, where they're just overwhelmed by the number of visitors that they're having.
Tourist destinations can have a kind of life cycle. So when there are too many tourists to this destination, the resources in this destination can deteriorate really quickly.
So sustainable tourism is all about how you can take tourism, which is a huge economic driver and social driver in the world, how you can take tourism and make it work for the people and the communities that are impacted by it. Because sustainable tourism sort of can impact so many different parts of the tourism system, we have students who are working in different elements of that.
I'm particularly interested in the preservation of cultural heritage. Heritage and culture and its protection are very important parts of sustainability. They are very vulnerable to the negative effects of tourism, which is why we need to ensure that we have the correct policies in place to ensure its protection for future generations. While studying heritage conservation, we saw that heritage is actually a catalyst for economic development, especially in the field of tourism.
I study community-based tourism, and that is a form of tourism that is being operated by a community, usually in rural areas, specifically rural areas in Indonesia, for my research. I like the idea of starting small and using resources in the community as a way to bring visitors. I think identifying the resources that they have is really important and how they can use that to show their culture. And then once they've identified those things, then the tourism operation can be initiated.
Sustainable tourism is about looking after people's economic well-being. It's about looking after their heritage and their culture. And it's also about looking after the environment so that we keep these three things working together for the benefit of the communities. This is what's called the triple bottom line, and getting that balanced so that all of these things are working together. Perhaps we're not making as much money as we could, but we're balancing that with the idea of, a better community to live in and a nicer environment to experience. And that is what the challenge of sustainable tourism is.
Many thanks, Purdue University students, for sharing your knowledge about ecotourism. May your research continue to touch the lives of all the planet's inhabitants. Earth-loving viewers, we are honored to have you with us today. Please be sure to watch Part 2 of Ecotourism, the Sustainable Way to Travel, next Monday, November 2nd. Coming up next is Positive Changes in Countries, Part 20, Committed Governments, Committed Citizens, Eritrea, Estonia, Eswatini, right after noteworthy news. May the planet soon prosper in heaven's light.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/PE.